After she laughed at my marriage proposal and said I wasn't good enough, I walked away. 3 years later, she found me on social media, begged for a second chance, but I made her cry in the same cafe where she broke my heart. My name is Oscar, and for 5 years, I was completely in love with Jessica. We met in college, and from the moment I saw her, I knew she was someone special, bright, ambitious, and stunning. I thought we were building something real, something that could last forever. But when I got down on one knee in that same little cafe where we had our very first date, hoping to spend the rest of my life with her, Jessica did the unthinkable. She laughed at me, told me flat out that I wasn't husband material, that I was too simple for her big dreams, and that she'd never see me as the man who could give her the life she wanted. She walked out without a second thought, leaving me there with a ring in my hand and a heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. For months, I was lost, hurt, and bitter, wondering how someone could toss away something so real so easily. But instead of letting that break me, I chose to prove her wrong. I worked harder than ever before, building a business from scratch and turning my passion into a career that took off faster than I ever imagined. I put myself out there, grew stronger, and most importantly, learned to love myself and my own worth. I started sharing my journey on TikTok, not to show off, but to inspire others who felt like they'd been left behind or broken by someone they trusted. Then, 3 years later, out of the blue, Jessica reached out. She sent me a message saying she'd made a huge mistake and wanted to meet. When I agreed, I chose that same cafe, the very place where she had rejected me, to show her what she had lost. I arrived calm, confident, and in control. When she walked in, the shock on her face was priceless. I listened as she tried to explain herself, but instead of giving her an easy way back, I told her exactly how her words had hurt me. Then I watched her cry, in the very same spot she'd ended us, knowing full well that this time, I held the power. I didn't take her back. I didn't need to. I had already won. Not by breaking her, but by rising above and becoming the man she told me I'd never be. For years after that day, I carried the weight of her rejection like a scar on my heart, but also like a fire that pushed me forward. I remember the nights I sat alone, questioning my worth, wondering if I'd ever be enough for anyone. But slowly, I began to see that the problem wasn't me. It was the way Jessica viewed the world, the way she measured people by what they could give her instead of who they truly were. I poured myself into my work, putting in late nights and early mornings to build a life that was entirely my own. I discovered strength I didn't know I had, and found joy in the small victories. Signing my first big client, posting videos that connected with people around the world, and building friendships that were genuine and supportive. Through it all, I learned to stand tall, to be proud of the man I was becoming. When Jessica reached out after 3 years, I wasn't the same person she had walked away from. I was stronger, wiser, and more certain of my own value. Sitting across from her in that cafe, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sadness for the past, satisfaction for how far I'd come, and a quiet kindness that I didn't expect to have. I could see the regret in her eyes, and though part of me wanted to hurt her for the pain she caused, I chose to speak honestly instead. I told her how her words had cut deep, how they had changed me, but also how I had used that pain to build a life that she could only dream of being part of. As she began to cry, I realized that my revenge wasn't in punishment, but in proving that I could rise above, that I could become the man she had once said I couldn't be. I didn't need her approval or her love to know my worth. And so I let her go, leaving that cafe with my head held high, ready to face the future without looking back. Life has a way of healing wounds, but sometimes it's the strength we find in our lowest moments that defines us the most. I learned that true love starts with loving yourself, and that sometimes, walking away is the most powerful act of all. In the months that followed that meeting, I found a peace I had never known before. I focused even more on my growth, both personally and professionally, surrounding myself with people who truly cared about me and encouraged me to be my best self. Jessica's message had opened a door for closure, not for reconciliation, and I walked through it with grace and strength. Every time I thought about that cafe where it all ended, I no longer felt pain or bitterness. Instead, I felt empowerment. I was no longer the man who needed someone else's validation to feel whole. I had built my own happiness, my own family of friends and loved ones who chose me every day. The man Jessica had rejected was gone, replaced by someone who knew his worth and refused to settle for less than he deserved. And that was my true victory. Looking back now, I'm grateful for the heartbreak, for the doubt, and for the long nights of struggle because they were the forge that shaped me. I've learned that sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are also the ones who teach us the hardest lessons. Jessica's departure was a turning point, a catalyst that forced me to choose myself over someone who couldn't see my value. I don't wish her ill will, but I'm proud to say that I no longer need her in my life to feel complete. Instead, I carry that experience with me as a reminder that self-respect and self-love are the foundations of any healthy relationship. And for anyone out there who feels broken or left behind, remember this: your worth is not defined by others' opinions, but by how fiercely you believe in yourself. Sometimes the best revenge is living well, and I plan to keep living my best life every single day.